Hello, this is cjhoyle. Today is Friday, January the 1st, 2021, and I'm standing here in front of the Finch subway station on Yonge Street in Toronto's North York district. Today I'm riding my 1992 Iowa Linear Recumbent Bike, which as you can see has an action camera mounted on the front of it. And in this video I'm going to be riding south from here and giving a narrated tour of Yonge Street through North York's city centre. Alright, so starting here at one of the entrances to the Finch subway station, I begin my way heading south. The street I'm about to cross is called Hendon Avenue, and if you're to turn left it changes names and becomes Bishop. And the Finch subway station has many exits to it, and that one that's just north of Hendon is the passenger pickup drop-off one, sort of the kiss and ride one. There's also a large parking lot up there underneath of the power lines, where a lot of people that live in North York or further north from here will park and board the subway for continuing further to the south. And right here we're just about to cross Finch Avenue, and I'm just noticing on the power lines that are above the Finch Avenue sign, you can see quite a few birds that are congregating along there. I believe those are all pigeons. Lots of pigeons, I guess, that live in this area. There's quite a high population density in this city center part of Yonge Street. Lots of condominium towers, and the population density around here is really pretty much the same as it is, you know, right downtown, where all the big condos are towards the waterfront. So just wait for this traffic light to turn green and I'll continue my way heading south, and there it is. And as I'm riding through this area here, this sort of northern area of Yonge Street, you'll see quite a few businesses which have foreign looking writing on them from other languages other than English. And I guess many of them are Korean businesses. This area is sometimes referred to as Koreatown North. There's another Koreatown along Bloor Street, sort of west of Bathurst, but this is the northern Koreatown, and I guess there's a high population of people who are from Korea that live in North York around this area. So of course there would be a lot of businesses to support that population. This area is also known to have quite a high population of people of Persian descent. So we're just waiting for this traffic light here at Kempford Boulevard. So one of the reasons that I decided to film a video showing this part of Yonge Street today is because a couple of weeks ago, back in December 2020, there was a decision at Toronto City Council in their last meeting of the year where they approved a long-term project for adding bike lanes to this portion of Yonge Street. The current streetscape that you see here today is a design that was decided on back in the 1950s, and back then none of these giant condo towers were up and the population density was very low because it was just a lot of single family homes. But since then this area has really exploded into its own little downtown city center, and this design of streetscape is really not ideal for that sort of population density. So this future plan, which is sort of earmarked to happen around 2025, would see this road, which has these 3 lanes of traffic in either direction, transformed into, I guess it'll still be 3 lanes of traffic in either direction, but one of the traffic lanes will be a bike lane. And it'll also allow the sidewalks to be wider, because when you have an area that has a lot of population density and a lot of businesses for people to walk to, of course you see a lot of people walking. So that was a really exciting decision at City Council. It's one that's gone back for quite a few years. I believe it first came to council in 2017, and then it got sent back for more study, and then the same thing happened in 2018, and in 2020 it finally came, and glad to see that Toronto City Council was on board. So we're now at Parkholme Avenue, and we're waiting for another red light here. I seem to be catching almost all of the red lights. I guess that last one back there, I just barely made it through before it changed. So over on the left, that is a mall. It's called Empress Walk. And you can see it, so it's got, grocery store in it, PetSmart, number of other different businesses, sort of larger businesses that are in there. And just beyond here on the right is the North York Civic Center, which is the former City Hall of North York back when it used to be a separate municipality, a separate lower tier municipality from the City of Toronto. So it used to have its own, separate council and its own mayor. And the square that's in front of it, just over to the right now, it's called Mel Lastman Square, and that's because the last mayor of North York was a man named Mel Lastman, who went on to become the mayor of Toronto after the city was amalgamated with all the boroughs. So, you went from Toronto having 5 or 6 different mayors for their own, individual areas, to then just having one single mayor. And of course, it was sort of a showdown of the existing mayors, and Mel Lastman was the winner. Just point the camera over to the right. There's an art center there. It's now called the Meridian Art Center. I think it used to have a different name. I've seen a couple of shows there in the past. So yeah, in this current situation, Yonge Street's not a very inviting place to ride a bike, unfortunately. I guess you have these wide lanes where you can kind of squeeze past the parked cars, but you got to be really careful that one of the doors in the parked cars doesn't open and you run into it. This part of Yonge Street I'm very familiar with because for nearly 5 years I commuted to an office that I worked at, which was just a little bit to the east of where I'm riding right now. So I spent many days up here, and at my lunch times I would come out and I would, get lunch from the various different restaurants in this area. Over on the left is the Shepherd Center, which is a mall that's underneath of those towers there. I guess there's some office towers and apartment towers that are built on top of that mall now, and they expanded it quite a bit, but I'm quite familiar with that mall as well. This street here is called Elkhurst Avenue, and once again I've got a red light. Over here on the right there's a building which says 49 Rue Yonge Street. It's this building that contains different departments of the Government of Canada. I believe they also have some offices in there that are related to the military for Canada. I remember when I worked in this area, from time to time you'd see people walking around wearing, a full army uniform that were going there. I think it's a recruitment center. And here we are at Shepherd Avenue, Shepherd Avenue is the next major east-west street, and there's a subway station underneath of Shepherd for the Yonge subway line. There's also a subway line, or a subway stop right at that North York Civic Center that I passed, where Mel Lastman Square was. I forgot to mention it as we were going past there, but there's also one there. But as we get past Shepherd, there's fewer and fewer condos, and things become less densely populated. One of the reasons I decided to make this video today was because I just so happened to be up in this area. I was purchasing something from a person from Kijiji, which is our most common local listing service for buying and selling things throughout most of Canada, or at least in Ontario it's very common. And the person was located up close to Finch station, so I decided to ride my bike up, and I thought, well, I'm up here, I might as well film Yonge Street because it seems like a good day to do it. It's nice and bright, and temperature today is relatively warm. It's around 1 or 2 degrees Celsius today. So I'm just crossing Florence Avenue here, which is the last traffic light that we go past before we get to Highway 401, which is a major east-west highway that cuts across the top of Toronto, or I guess it cuts through the middle of Toronto. It really provides a major barrier between sort of the main city of Toronto and North York. And from here on, the cycling is really not very enjoyable because there's lots of cars getting on and off of the on and off ramps for the highway here. Well, anyway, that concludes my narrated tour of Yonge Street in North York in Toronto. If you watched all the way to the end of this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.